This is the Figuring Shit Out podcast.
Okay.
We jumping in.
Episode 41, right?
No, 42.
Okay, correct me, that's right.
Yep. You know who I am, Bunny Flacs, Lucid Perspective, bunnyflacs.com. We got King Arthur in the building.
What up, folks? Unify and Thrive, y'all know what time it is. Frank, the hat kind of fire, dog. I think I told you that before. The hat fire.
Yeah. We got to get some merchandising done, son. We got to get merchandising done on the site. Get one of these popping different colors. My color's black and red, so that's what it is. We got a good guest today. We got Anthony Orisses, CEO of Rarecut. I was about to say Ravecut. Rarecut. If you can give us a little background about yourself, a little bio, and then your figuring shit out moment. It could be anything, life change and decision, business, personal, whatever. Figuring shit out moment.
100%. Well, first and foremost, fellas, thank you for having me here. It's an honor to be talking to you guys and being a guest on the show. So yeah, my name's Anthony Orisses out of Queens, New York, and I am the founder of Rarecut. And a little bio: born and raised here in Queens, man. When you live here, it kind of gives you a different perspective of the world, I'd like to say, because it's the most diverse region on the planet.
That's true.
Most languages spoken, most religions, all in one very small, tiny area. So you get kind of like almost like the fast track to seeing the world in one place. So I'm very, very fortunate to have been born and raised and to grow up here. Really,
me too.
That's a big part of my DNA and who I am is the Queens background, Dope. And a figuring shit out moment for me. I mean, Rarecut will be one, but I have a feeling we're gonna be talking about that later a whole lot. But I'd say a big figuring shit out moment for me in my life was after a very tough year in 2017. Went through a really, really tough breakup. I had some major health issues where I couldn't even bend my fingers. I went through a whole lot of shit.
Wow.
And yeah, my grandfather, who I was super, super tight with, passed away all in like a 1 month time period. This all kind of happened. I saw myself potentially going down a really like tough road,
dark place, right?
And I said, you know what, I need to do something. I spoke to a friend and they said, you should do a journey on your own. So I went to Thailand for about 2.5 weeks, and that trip changed my entire life, because go there and you get a little taste of the culture, you get a little taste of adventure, and also a little bit of relaxation all in one trip. And it was just like the perfect summation of like everything you could ever ask for in one experience. And I walked that trip straight up a new man, a better man. And it's my top recommendation for when anyone's going through some shit. I say, hey, listen, can I give you take a trip, take a little trip,
get up and carry your ass to Thailand, right?
100%.
My cousin did that too a few years ago. He said it was dope. Did you get to ride the elephants? Was it that type of deal with nature and all that stuff?
So yeah. So the place I went to was like an elephant sanctuary. So they were they were super against riding the elephants. Like that was because to be honest with you, I was like, oh yeah, I thought that was part of the program. Like, we do not do that here. That is not what
maybe I misspoke. Maybe he didn't do that. Maybe he did. I don't know.
Yeah, no.
That's some Instagram stuff they said, huh?
Right, that's what they said. So I learned quickly, but that was like, man, that was an experience like no other. That was like 5 years ago, almost to the day, actually. And I only know that because Facebook reminded me. Yeah,
Facebook would do that.
Facebook would remind you of some stuff on it.
Too much stuff, man.
Facebook would do that to you.
Yeah.
So that's dope. So you went to Thailand. Go ahead, King. I'm fault. You go ahead.
No, you good. I was just saying, like, that's good that he was able to bring himself out of the space, right? Because we talked with somebody a couple weeks ago about alpha men, right, and just how men in general don't have outlets, right? When life gets hard, when stuff gets sticky, it's more like you don't have anybody to call, you don't have to run to. And then you said your grandpa passed, so that's like he was probably one of the people, right? Yeah, we don't have many, and then you lose one of the people. Like that's tough. So I'm glad you came out of it. Yeah, I'm glad you came out of it. So what made you go to Thailand? Like, what made you get up and go to Thailand? And how did you know that was going to help you get out of it? Or were you just trying stuff?
No, great question. So one of my closest friends, my coworker, Cherie, and her husband, they're like, yo, because they saw me down in the dumps and like, yo, we're going to take you out for dinner. So we went out to Brooklyn. We went to this place and they're like, listen, we got to talk to you because, you need to do a radical change right now, or else you're going to be like going through it for a long time unless you do something. Nothing changes if nothing changes, right? Is the expression. So they're like, hey, we have a cousin, Danny, who did this, and he came out of it a new man, and you could do the same. And one thing too, I was like, you know what? At that point in time, I'd never done a solo trip, and having never done it before, you're like, shit, 2 weeks, like that's a long time, it's like that's 2.5 weeks rather. Well, that's a long time. Right. But I think what you do is in that time, it really taught me a lot to, first off, you open up, and the beauty is when you want to talk to somebody and make friends, you do. And when you want to be left alone and do your thing, you do. So it's kind of a perfect scenario in that situation. But yeah, Thailand specifically, they're just like, because originally I was like, maybe I'll go to Europe, or maybe I'll go to like Australia. Like,
right.
Or go somewhere off the beaten path a little bit. Go to Thailand.
Right.
So
I have not been on that side of the world. I have not been across the Atlantic? Yeah. I haven't been across the Atlantic. So we want to do Paris. There's all type of things. But I've been to this hemisphere, St. Martin, Puerto Rico, stuff like that.
Hey Frank, you can stop shitting on me, bro. I'm gonna spend the rest of my 30s. I'm gonna spend like the next 2 years of my 30s getting paid, and the 40s is me in the streets, bro. We in the
Let's
air,
go.
Bro. International. I'm telling you.
I'm with it, bro. I just don't really like flying, bro. If there's a way we can just take a boat or something, I'd rather do that. Or just be, fucking fucked up the whole ride or something, just sleep or something. Anyway,
you got one.
So that's what's up. So you went to Thailand, you came back a different man, a new man, rejuvenated.
Yeah.
How much time passed before that moment and when you developed Rarecut?
It's a great question. So I had the concept for Rarecut, I would say the year prior, but in order to develop, it took a long time. So that's the thing when you're trying to bring something new to market is, I don't know, I got that impatient New Yorker in me where I'm just like, no, I want it now. Let's roll,
Yes.
walk fast,
Same.
Yeah. So, when you're forced to be patient, you learn a lot about yourselves, and you really like it. Your patience is tested certainly, but it really gives you a lot of time to like game plan, formulate things, get ideas. So it was actually, waiting was a good part of the education process, believe it or not.
Right.
So I would say I came up with the concept about a year prior, but on that trip, I started talking to a lot of people, and like you're meeting all these people. And at the time, this is 2018 when I went on this trip, and people were working remote, and this is pre-pandemic. So working remote was not a thing. Like now it's like remote, of course.
Yeah, everybody's looking for it.
Yeah, people looked at that back in the day, only a few years ago, as like, back in the day, as like, oh, they're just unemployed, or they're seasonal workers, or
let me tell you something. I used to get that. So a lot of people, I've been remote for like over 10 years now. Wow. And my homies used to always, they would call me the Puerto Rican Tommy from Martin, because I never had to go to a place. They always, you ain't got no job, because I never went anywhere. But I know exactly what you're talking about. I mean, interrupt you, but yeah.
Yeah, so I met these guys, and they were all doing these jobs remotely, and they were just, I saw these guys living their dreams, and I was like, wow, this is really incredible. And I go, and you're here right now? How long are you here for? They're like, open ticket. And I'm still working. I go, damn. So they're like, what are your dreams? What are your aspirations? And I started telling them, and I got a lot of positive feedback, and they're like, listen, I would pursue that if I was you, and you better, pedal to the metal, get back, like get on that. That's a great idea. And, I think that's something that's important to be said too, is surrounding yourself around people who are not just supportive, but like want to see you win is important, because it's easy to be negative. It's easy to knock somebody down. It's harder to find people who will build you up. And I was around a lot of people who built me up, and I came back from that trip, not just like as a new man, as I mentioned earlier, but also as motivated as ever to say, hey, let's make Rare thing. Let's turn it into something, and not just something.
That's good.
Let's get
That's
it.
good. What's good is, because I'm from New York too. I was raised in the Bronx. I lived there for like first 15, 20 years of my life. It's funny. It's crazy that you say you had people that helped you up, because like where I'm from, everybody was negative. My family, friends, everybody. You tell them a dream, they got 50, 100 ways to tell you how you're gonna fail, how you shouldn't even attempt it. It's not even worth your time, or you just ain't shit, right? So that was my experience living in New York. I didn't really wake up to those type of thought patterns till I left New York. And I've been in Virginia for the past 20 years or so. So that's dope. You got good people around you, bro. I thought they were rare in New York. Apparently they're around. So what's up, Queens? Nah. They in Queens.
To be real with you, I had to find a lot of them, because I can't say it was like that my entire life. And oddly enough, I found the majority of people in my life who are like outside of my family, who was like my support system, believe it or not, we found each other during pandemic. And that was through, do you guys remember the app? It still exists, but no one really, I don't use it anymore, but Clubhouse. Did you guys ever hop on Clubhouse back in the day?
I heard about it. I never
it was up for a minute.
Clubhouse was where I found a lot of the people who I'm closest with today, who I communicate with most often, was on Clubhouse because essentially it was like a podcast, kind of like we're doing now, but people got involved and they asked questions and it opens up to a larger audience. But I would only find groups of people who were like, entrepreneurial or wanted to do certain things that I was into. And through that, we built a really strong community of people who are all still friends. And they're like my go-to group pretty much right now.
That's fire.
So I didn't, to your point, yes. Do I have a great support system? Yes. Did I always necessarily? No. But I made it my mission to be like, all right, I'm going to weed out whoever doesn't like kind of fit in with where I'm trying to go.
Right.
And you got to leave them behind. That's how it goes.
You mentioned you was telling them that it was a good idea, right? But we all know ideas are a dime a dozen. Ideas aren't worth much if you're not going to put some execution and some action in, right? So you said you had built a support system, right? The chat Clubhouse. So what was the execution like? Like, what was the early days of executing, getting this idea off the ground like?
Yeah. No, it definitely tested my patience. So for those who don't know, Rarecut, right? It's an apparel company, but our flagship product is I invented a pocket square that has memory metal inside, and I'll just demonstrate because I got it.
Let's go. Let's do it.
Okay.
So it's a pocket square, right? But this pocket square is different than others because it has memory metal inside. And what that does is no matter how you fold it, right? Twist it, shape it, it keeps its shape. So when you put it in your pocket, it stays up, which is also our tagline. So, we have fun with our marketing when your tagline stays up. Yes. A whole lot of fun with that. But this thing, you're like, oh, okay. You know what it is? It's simple. But it works. And there's beauty in simplicity, so I can tell somebody how this works. I just explained this to you guys in, 15 seconds, how it works. 15, 30 seconds, how it works. Right. So the explanation seems simple, but the execution and to get to it actually being a viable product took forever. I worked through 3 engineers, all which helped move it forward to some degree. And then I got referred to engineers I didn't even know existed.
Right.
It took a long time. It took years to find the right metal in the center, the right fabric, the right adhesive, the right everything. Right.
Oh, wow.
That's a journey in of itself. Then you got to launch. Then you got to prove your proof of concept. Then you got to get people excited. Then you got to figure out how to run a business. When I've sold things before, I'm in sales for my day job, but I never had my own company. So you learn that on the go. So it's like, sometimes you wake up in the morning and you're just like, you wake up and you're like, what the hell am I doing?
Right.
What am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing. You know what? I don't think most people did either,
Right. You have doubt. Like, is this gonna make it? Am I wasting my time? Am I putting all these resources?
Let's stay here. Let's stay here a little bit. Like, we all know we're all on the second part of we built it.
Right.
Now we've got to prove it to the market. Does the market want to do? The customers want it? But let's stay in the part of going through the process of making an actual product that you have no clue if anybody wants. You have no clue how you're going to package it, how you're going to sell it, who's going to buy it. Talk about some just hiccups. You say engineers or whatever. Like, I'm curious to what made you go memory metal, right? Memory metal. Right. Where are we doing memory metal at? Where I haven't heard memory metal in a regular conversation ever.
Well, memory metal is another way of saying copper mesh. You know what I mean? So I have I have a marketing mind, and the way that I always love to simplify things for people, because you hit people with memory mesh and this mesh, it doesn't mean anything, but memory metal sticks. You know what I mean?
It does.
Sticks. I think the name as well, Rarecut, sticks. The product itself sticks. You know what I'm saying? So everything across that board, I always try to do things that are memorable, because I try to put myself always in the consumer's shoes, right? So if I'm a dude that wants to wear a pocket square and I have no idea how to do it, how can I make it easier? I'm always trying to put myself in somebody else's shoes, even to our packaging, right? our packaging, I'm like, all right, if I got this, right?
That looks dope.
This is cool packaging. You know what I'm saying? So like everything. I don't
King missed it. You missed it, King.
Oh yeah,
he showed the packaging.
That's
so
fire.
I'm showing that the packaging that we come in for everything, I try to make it an experience, because every other pocket square that you get is loose. It's you throw it in a bag. There's no presentation.
Or they're like tied to like 3 tied together with a little plastic string,
like underwear.
Right.
Yeah.
Almost something like that. Yeah. So I was like, you know what? I'm not going to get into starting a company if it's just a company with a product. I want to be a brand with a otherwise I'm not doing it. And the fact this is proprietary, we just got a patent.
Congrats. That's
like,
dope.
okay, thank you. Yeah. I was like, you know what? This is worth pursuing. And having taken that leap of faith, I launched this in probably the craziest time to launch a fashion accessories company. September 2020.
When nobody was going outside, right? Everybody was in the house.
I was wearing sweats every day.
Right.
No one, you couldn't even go anywhere if you wanted to. But it was like
Right.
it was like shit or get off the pot type moments. Like, all right, you've been prepping this. I pushed back my launch so many times, and now you're just sitting on it. You're like, you know what? No,
that's dope.
Times will never be perfect. Let's go.
Are you looking for a media agency that covers all the creative tasks that make a business successful? Lucid Perspective produces elegant, high-resolution graphics and logos, high definition and 4K video, complete with treatment concepts and innovative editing. Lucid Perspective provides photography services such as fashion, advertisements, product or service, and aerial photography. We also help businesses build their brands from the ground up with complete campaigns that will make your business attractive to your target audience. We can bring your brand to the masses with our effective and strategic marketing campaigns to include sales funnels, eye-catching advertisements, breakthrough digital marketing through social media, and other digital avenues. Visit lucidperspective.com today.
You did over 50K in 30 days.
That's fantastic.
Ooh,
that's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. So that was online?
Yeah, it was all online, all through the Kickstarter platform. So that was like that was like validation right there of like, you know what? You're onto something. Roll
that's dope. That's inspiring. I'm sure you have fun. So did you have the marketing tactics, jokes in the Kickstarter? Like, it stays up and all that. Did you have that stuff in there?
Yeah. So no, you know what? The Kickstarter was more. So actually we did something like this, right? Like a standard pocket square, an hour pocket square, and we did like one of these to show up.
That's dope. Okay.
Sloppy and floppy, and ours stays up. Like we had little things like that, but it was more, the Kickstarter was more like straight up informational. And I would say one of the main reasons for success of that was sharing the journey along the way. So people saw for years, I would post and be like, hey guys, like I'm starting this company, Rarecut, and I'd be like, hey, I'm at a factory. I don't know what the hell I'm doing here, but here we are. And I think people
they like to see the journey and the success of the
and you also have buy-in to the company and the individual when you're seeing the work, because people just see like a post like, hey, I post this, all right, cool packaging, but doesn't really move me. But when people see you like hustling after your full-time job, running to a factory in New Jersey to get this off the ground, like I respect it. So I think through doing that for years is what got people to be like, you know what, I support this this individual and this company.
That's pretty dope. Have you been on Shark Tank yet? You look familiar. Have I seen you on Shark Tank?
Remember that. I will be on one day, but not yet. I got to get certain things in order. Got to get those numbers up and right. So that when they ask it, I don't even have to think twice.
Hell yeah. I'm gonna get it for you before. I want to have it before you get up there, so I can say, look, I'm already in. No,
I got about 3 ties in the tuck, 3 suits in the tuck. I can use a pocket square.
There you go.
I can use a Rarecut.
Perfect. Well, we got new ones coming out in like a couple of weeks, so be on the lookout.
That's dope. Do you like what about the designs? Do you have a plan to license like Marvel characters, Star Wars, or you doing pretty simple designs now so you don't have to deal with the licensing, or is that a future plan?
That is definitely a future plan. I more than anything want to have I mean, we got Batman back here.
I see a Darth Vader. Okay, Star Wars. Okay, yeah, I'm super Star Wars head. Okay.
Hell yeah. Yeah, so I love that stuff too. But like that is for sure. So right now we currently have 50 patterns out. We're about to unveil another 15 very soon. And then this is like brand new. I think it's probably the first I'm speaking about it on any podcast. Is
Oh shit!
actually
Figure shit
taking exclusive right here. Exactly. So I've been working on lessons myself in working with Adobe Illustrator. That's like a whole new world for me. And I'm taking like a class.
Do it. Adobe is nice. I'm up on all that. I've have over 10 years experience. Photoshop, Premiere, all that. Yeah, do it.
It's dude, it's for someone that has zero experience in it, you're just like, it's overwhelming, man. Oh man, I'm learning though a lot.
Good.
And I'm enrolling in an advanced class after. But the purpose of that for me is to be able to do, and I don't mean the most intricate of designs, I'll outsource that. But when somebody is getting married, right, and they want to have their monograms on there with their wedding date, boom, we got you. We're going to make you custom ones, and I don't have to outsource it. Or your company logo, or figuring shit out, right? You want to put that all over a pocket square. Well, now we're going to have the ability to do that. Whereas before in the past, the designer I work with is incredible, but he's a busy guy. And to get on time as quick as I need it for a wedding, for example, don't work like that. So that's my biggest thing. And then once we get into customization, which I think will be like game changer, then to your question earlier, hell yeah, of course I want to get into Marvel, Star Wars, all that. Love that. Yeah.
That sounds like a major game changer. Like you said, September 2020, right? And I think I was telling Frank I had noticed, but around maybe March of 21, people were going outside regardless. Yeah. There was nothing stopping people. There was nothing stopping people going outside. Did you notice that? And did you go outside to sell it all, or did you just stay online?
In New York City, so we had so many.
New York is different.
Here.
Yeah, New York was horrible.
My state here was pretty tough. I didn't really see New York recover up until probably earlier 2022. Really, like early summer 2022, to be honest with you, and it's still.
Yeah, my family's up there. They were. Yeah, it was rough.
Your family's in the Bronx, you're saying, right?
I have family there, but my brothers they're in Yonkers now. A couple of them Yonkers and the Bronx.
Okay, now it's a game changer. Now people are out, and now also a lot of offices are requiring people go back to work in office. So yeah, I mean, there's always a place for it, and like I'm not saying be a suit and tie guy. I actually really never wear a tie, and even right now, for those who can
blazer.
See, if you're listening, I'm wearing a jacket, but with a hoodie underneath, because I like to go with a modern kind of look. And this is a conversation piece. I always say that, and especially, listen, it doesn't matter who you are, right? But especially if you're a single dude, single guy, you rock one of these on there. It's an instant conversation starter. It's a talking piece.
It does. It looks good too. It works still. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's with the blazer.
Thank you.
So what about? So let's talk about functionality. This may be a stupid question, silly question, but does it work? Is it soft?
Will it go back straight? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Like, or is it sturdy, or is it too? Is it?
Great question.
Okay.
I'll just show it to you. And listen, this is a new thing, right? So you can ask whatever you want. So right now, it's pretty much, it will not come undone unless you make it come undone, right? So you can leave this in your pocket for all of time. It's not going to move. You know what I'm saying? It's going to conform to however you shaped it. And that I happen to do that one because it was easy to do with one hand. Now you can do a straight edge look, you could do a triangle look, but it would require me putting that on the table. So I did kind of that messy look,
right,
to show you guys with one hand how it works. But
yeah,
I don't have to iron. I don't want to iron for no reason because, and I'm going to throw this out there. This was like serendipitous. This was like dumb luck. We got very lucky. The fact that with the fabric and the metal, if you just kind of tug, it straightens out itself. Now, will an iron be better? Of course. But for a guy like myself that just wants to kind of let's roll, let's do it. Let's change it up without having to iron it. I mean, we just straightened it out pretty good just by having to tug on it. So let's just say we did another shape here, but I can't show it to you, but you'll see it when I'm done. It just makes it nice and easy to keep changing that up.
Nice.
That's man, that's actually a great question. And let me hold it up for you here.
Man, I think this is good. I think this is great. I think this is great. People who wear pocket squares, right? Because they could design them or shape them however they want, and then put it in the box or wherever they put it at. And so whenever they go back and get it again, perfect, right? I don't have to worry
dope.
about, or like you said, I can wear the same one with different shape in a matter of moments without ironing it actually, right?
Yeah, exactly. Now there's other things too, right? So someone once invented it's that holster, and it actually that was on Shark Tank, and I did extremely, extremely well. But the holster, I know people that own it, and no one that I know continues to wear it. And I go, why? And they're like, I don't know, it's like a pain. It's another thing I got to bring out. So I was like, with this, you don't need an accessory for your accessory. We just cut out the, you don't need that anymore. That's gone. Now they're doing really well, and I'm happy to see that, because that gives me inspiration and hope to be like, yo, we can crush this,
Nice.
So yeah, this is like an improvement upon that.
Nice. And so another functionality question.
Yes.
Is it washable, dryable, has no issues in the washing machine with the metal and all that? Is there any crazy interactions?
This is a great commercial, bro.
Hey, those are great questions, actually. He's getting what he's doing. He's getting me ready for Shark Tank, right? So
and they'll be 1,000 times worse than me. I'm nice, so I can't get up there and insult somebody because but that's just me.
You're the new Mr. Nice Guy, exactly. So no, so that's a great question. So this is we say hand wash only, and the reason being is when you throw, this has copper in it. So when you throw copper and water together, it oxidizes, almost like think of like the Statue of Liberty, right? How the Statue of Liberty was once copper and now it's green. So yeah, we recommend not to. I will say this though, having gone out and I rock these all the time. When you're eating or drinking and like, let's just say you eat something and it falls, if you're wearing a tie, it's directly down. It's almost kind of hard to get it. Like, it's not impossible. I've never really gotten one dirty yet. So tonight I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna get ketchup on it or something. But but no, we've experimented and we've taken just like a towel, we wet it, put a little soap on it, and that seems to get just about everything that could normally come out will come out with that.
Nice. Okay. This is tough.
That's cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go get some blazers. I used to have a job where I had to do the shirt and tie thing every day for like 3-4 years or 2-3 years. And I didn't wear pocket squares. I wish I would have known about this. I would have been rocking those.
I think he wishes too.
I'll get some blazers and rock those. It's dope. It's dope.
Yeah, so I seen your Instagram page, right? And it's very male, very alpha-ish, very
it's funny, hilarious.
Yeah. It's good stuff, but it's very masculine, right? So is your audience, are you targeting guys on purpose because it's a pocket square, or do you try to get to the females as well so they can buy for their significant others too? But so talk about your marketing a little bit.
Yeah, love that. So it's funny you say that, because we have just as many female customers as we do male customers, but my suspicion is that they're oftentimes buying for their guy. But we have so many female. I would say it's probably not 50-50. It might be like, 55-45, but it's a very, very even split of how many female customers we get. And of course, I'm going to guess the majority of the time is that they're gifts, because then we get them their guy or whatever they're wearing it. We got a lot of UGC, a lot of user generated content, which I love.
I'm sure.
It's the best. It's like, no, it's the best validation, So we also have other things. So this is our flagship product, right? Because we got into a space, apparel, that I had never had any history in. I didn't go to school. I didn't go to Fashion Institute of Technology, but I came across an idea that I really felt would work. And I took the leap of faith, rolled with it, right? But to your question and point, actually, what about females? It's very alpha male driven, and that's the bulk of our audience. But we want to start incorporating things for everyone.
Right.
So in the past we have, and what we did was, and this was during pandemic, we ran a campaign, and the question that we actually, I'm rocking it now, I'll just show it to you. So we did a shop local campaign. I'm gonna hold this up, try not to get it blurry, but so
I see it.
Okay.
Yeah, that classic New York City coffee cup, shop local, and this is the torch from the Statue of Liberty. And what that really indicates or shows is, why people came to this country, right? So many people in this country for opportunity. And during the pandemic, we were seeing a little wardrobe switch over here. We saw so many businesses and entrepreneurs struggling because they couldn't keep their doors open.
Right.
And I was like, all right, this is messed up. No one's hearing about these stories. And this is a really weird person to quote, but the quote itself, it was actually a good quote. So from a bad person. I'm not talking Darth Vader bad, real bad.
Oh, okay.
Joseph Stalin once said, he's like, the death of one person is a tragedy. The death of 10,000 people is a statistic. And now, why do I bring that up?
Oh, wow.
I bring that up because when you hear, oh, did you hear that in New York City, 2,000 businesses closed? You're like, oh shit, that's crazy. Oh, wow. But you kind of get over it, like just this. You can't even comprehend the number. But when you hear, oh, did you hear Charlie and his wife who run the shop, the diner down the street for X amount of years? They're closing their doors. Now you're like, I feel that sucks.
Right.
The face to the name, you know? So what I wanted to do was take individuals, mainly from New York City, even though we had other places too. And we said, all right, how do you stay up? Because it stays up. So how do you stay up during these hard times? And what we did was we took business owners, they rocked a jacket, they rocked the pocket square, and they told their stories, and we showcased them and featured their stories.
Nice.
We also gave a portion of proceeds to the Barstool Fund, which was doing really big things in helping support these businesses. But I bring that up because as I was developing this, I had a lot of my female friends say, I would love if you had something for like females too.
Right.
I had something for everybody. So we made these shop local shirts. They're fire. They're beautiful shirts. And those crushed. We crushed those. So I go, okay, we're seeing that we're now expanding what we're doing. I wasn't planning on this, but that's life, right? You make a plan and they say God last, and you kind of like take it from there. But I was like, oh shit, like we have a high demand for these shirts. So, and I also love that we were leaning into something greater than ourselves, something with
community. Yeah.
Correct. So we just did, so then we did something with breast cancer awareness. So we featured women and family members of women going through their journeys. We had the pocket square, and we also had t-shirts, and we're like, oh shit, and those shirts flew off the shelves, and we're like, all right, so
that's dope.
We'll be seeing more shirts in the near future. We are working with other foundations as well. We did Movember Fund back in November. We're working with American Cancer Society right now to hopefully close on two I want to say events, but we're doing something together with them to certain movements with them and featuring their patterns, and again donating.
Nice.
But the t-shirt thing, you know, I think that's going to be a part of our DNA moving forward, because we do want to be able to provide products for people that maybe aren't rocking a jacket but still want to support.
Nice. So I got a question. So I'm assuming you have the patent. You say you had the patent, right? You got the patent, you got the metal in their handkerchief. Yes. Is there a other applications with that technology in other apparel, like shirts or I don't know, bras or anything? Like, is there any other use that you can use that copper mesh for? I mean, I don't know. I'm shooting from the hip right now.
No, these for not shooting from the hip. It's a very valid question. So yes, there are, and I'm working with my attorney to figure out.
Okay.
We're going to figure out what those are, because there are benefits to having copper against the body. That's why Copper Fit, you know, that brand Copper Fit.
Yes.
The sleeves for your knees, hands,
right,
elbows,
socks.
Yeah, there is a medicinal benefit to that. And being that we got one, you know, in between, so we have one where there's fabric on both sides and it's made a certain way that could expand into more. I'm not there yet. I don't even know what those are yet. I'm being fully transparent, but there is more that could happen from this. So stay tuned.
I'm just thinking, you know, when you think about the future, you think about technology, like what other applications can we use? Like Iron Man suit or something? I don't know, vibranium.
So it's a guy on Instagram, Idris Sandu. I hope I said his name, Idris Sandu. So basically he's an augmented reality coder, right? Whatever. But he has a hoodie, and he put some smart technology in the hoodie, basically, so that way you can scan your phone or coat, using your coat as a NFC card or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, so that one popped in my head is like if you could do like a chip in the pocket to where you can pay for your stuff or like scan whatever or connect to your phone or business wise, right? Tap my thing, right? And then to pull up something like that, right? That just kind of popped in my head when you said that. So yeah, a 4D material or 4D material. I don't know if you know about 4D printing.
No, I know 3D printing. I don't know 4D.
I know he hit me with that too one day. I was like, what?
I don't know.
Yeah. So basically, it changes dimensions after it's interacted with an outside force. So basically, if it's one shape when it's dry, when it gets wet, it does something else. Or when it gets like they have sweaters that can sense your body temperature that loosens or tightens when. Those kind of popped in my head.
Right.
So wrapping my head around 3D. Now we're talking 4D. Shit,
I guess it changes based on the state of the matter or whatever. I don't know. That's science stuff, but
it's different.
So let's jump back a little bit to your engineering days. Well, not yours, but when you sought an engineering team, did you come with them with the idea of can we make a handkerchief that can mold? Or was it derived from the meetings with your engineers when you're trying to make a product that was unique than what was already out there?
Right. So what I did was I was trying to explain it to someone over the phone, and he said, "Hey, listen, let's have a meeting. But if you could kind of demonstrate to me what you're talking about, so I can get my head around it." And I'm like, "Sure." So I'm like, "How am I going to demonstrate what I'm talking about? Because it doesn't exist." So what I did was I took, and I don't know how to sew, but I took 2 pocket squares and I took aluminum foil and I bent the aluminum foil into X amount of layers. I put in the center. And actually, I was at my family's house and I'm like, "Listen, Ma, I don't know how to sew. I can try, but is there any way you can help me with this?" And she's like, "Oh yeah, 100%. I got you." So she sewed it. And I don't have it. It's somewhere. It'll be in that pocket square. That's gonna be in like the pocket square whole day one day.
Museum, right? Yeah,
yeah, right. So I had this, and I brought it to him, and he's like, "Oh, now I totally understand what you're saying." He's like, "I thought it was this and that." Like he had a very different understanding in his engineering mind of how this could work, and he's like, "This is actually easier than what I had in mind. Like as far as like functionality, he's like, what I had was way more complex, and honestly, probably I don't know if it would have worked, but this I get." So I'm like, great. So he really worked with me. Like he was incredible.
Nice.
And showed me the ropes. But then he also so he's a mechanical engineer, I want to say. And then he goes, "I really would like to refer you or recommend that you work with somebody that has worked with metals more in the past." He's like, "Because I could help you, but to a point, and I want to just also respect your process, and I don't want to misguide you." So I appreciate that.
Or hold you back, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So I worked with somebody else who was incredible, and he got me to a certain point, and we got the metal right. He's like, "But you know what?" He's like, "I got to tell you, I don't know anything about fabrics. I want to." Yeah. So he's like, you should really find an engineer that works with fabrics. I'm like, shit. So then I go there. So I work with 3 engineers, and to be honest with you, what actually had just as a positive effect as any of the engineers, I mean, they all really helped tremendously. But I worked with one guy who worked in the garment district in New York City for 40 years.
Oh, yeah.
And he knows fabric better than this guy. I don't care if you're an engineer. This guy knows like the back of his hand. So I work with him, and he's rolling. We're going to the store. We're pulling out all these fabrics. Like I was like taping. I was like, "Hey guys, like I don't know what I'm doing, but here we are." And this guy,
I got a pro.
Yeah. So through his help and all the engineers, we got to a viable product. So man, if you had told me, actually, I was asked. So when I first called my attorney, and she asked me when I first came to the idea with her, I don't know if she asked me just to ask it for her entertainment or if she thought I was really thinking this, but she goes, "When do you think you'll be rolling out your company?" I go, "I don't want to say a year, so probably 10 months. It was years, man. It took a long time.
Yeah.
Especially when you're building something from scratch. Like if I was pressing shirts, then yeah, your window's a lot shorter.
You were basically paving a road that didn't exist. It's not like doing something else, another business that 1,000 people have done. You're paving a brand new road.
Right.
Yeah,
And you want
that's
it to be
crazy.
right. You want it to be as close to right as possible. You can always tinker in the future, but you want to be proud of it, you know? So took
Hey
some
Frank,
yeah.
unify and thrive, bro. That's what all
Right.
I hear is unify and thrive. Like,
Yeah.
because like he get to download that nobody else can even understand. It's freaking gibberish to everybody else.
Right.
And then he's like, I gotta manifest this thing in the physical, but I gotta convince this guy who's probably culturally different, really educationally different, work-wise different. And I gotta convince him. And then he's like, I got you, but you need to talk to him too. And then same thing, culturally different, education, work, all this different, but I gotta convince him. But then I got this actual physical, tangible product that didn't exist, and it only is because I got the download and I
you
saw help
executed.
to get it out. Right. And execution is the key, man. Like that's major. That's what I just hear. Unify and thrive, y'all. Like make it happen. Don't hold on to it. It's no good inside.
Yeah, that's true. And you executed and you were consistent, right? Like no matter how many blocks you may have had, like the first engineer guy could have been like, yeah, I can help you to this point, but you need to go here. And you could have been discouraged from that, right? Like, oh, I don't want to talk to someone else. And then I gotta go to the third guy, fourth guy, fifth guy, whatever. So, but that was dope. So what would you say was the total amount of months and years from, I guess, your download to going live? Like, I guess selling your first one.
Okay. Good question. Well, I came up with the concept just like on paper 2016. And then I launched the company in September of 2020. So yeah.
It's like 4 years. Yeah.
I would say I was trying to think of what month it was, but it was like roughly, it was just over 4 years. From when I had the concept written down on a piece of paper to like actually, and to your point what you were talking about earlier, like, yeah, could I have been discouraged? Yeah, I got calls from one of my engineers who I love, but he'd be like, hey man, sorry, bad news. Like they don't make this type of metal anymore, or this. It happened so many times.
Right.
Fuck. Like this is the end of the road. Shit. Like we've come so far. And then I hang up. I'm like, no, fuck that. No.
Right.
There's always a way. There's always a way. And like he heard me out. He's like, sure. Do you want to try this and this? I go, whatever we can do. I've come too far to stop now. I've come too far to just come this far. And he's like, let's do it, man. I'll look into it for you. And he's awesome. He kept looking. He kept giving me resources to reach out to, and it did eventually happen. But like, yeah, there's a lot of times where there was like, hey, man, let's talk, and they weren't necessarily
good conversation. Right, good
conversation
news
starters, anyways. Yeah.
Right.
And it sounds like one relief brings more angst and anxiety, right? Because once you got the product, you're like, yes, load off my shoulders, and then it's like, oh, I gotta go sell this thing.
Yeah, man. Oh my God, yes, that too. Yeah, and like you said earlier about like being consistent. Yeah, consistent and persistent are the names of the games. You have to love, and there are very, especially when you're developing something, there's really tough days. Especially when you don't see an end in sight or you get roadblocked, you just got to go around it. You have to, or as they say, the only way out is through. So you break, in essence, you break through it. And I would say, I talked about the Thailand trip earlier about things that changed me, but this is the big one because this is the big one because I see really big things for this brand and this company, like really big things, and we can soar from here.
I believe it. I believe it.
Thank you. But the hardest part is starting, like with anything, right? Like they say, like start working out is going to the gym. The hardest part is starting this. But it's really hard to start. But once you start, you all of a sudden you see like people that like, hey, oh, I heard you're doing this. Let me introduce you to so-and-so. And all of a sudden, all these things are kind of coming your way. It's like you're almost like this, there's like this gravitational force that
pulling.
And that's the truth. I'll speak to that all day. But all of a sudden you start narrowing in on what you want and where you're going, and things start like clearing a path to help.
No, that's facts. And things will happen. Things will happen. It could seem like a coincidence. It can seem like the universe answering you, right, or God answering you, or whatever you believe. But like things start falling into place. And then it's like you said, it starts pulling you more towards fruition. So that's pretty dope.
I tell my son, the most important part of starting is finishing, right? So, and that's what you're saying. Like, you got to just push through it. I'm too far now to quit, right? So you might as well keep going.
Are you new in town or need a fresh cut on the fly? Let me show you a convenient way to hire a mobile hair care pro now. Simply download the Cuddy app from the App Store. Create a profile and have access to professional mobile barbers and stylists in your area. The Cuddy app allows you to browse for hair care professionals 24/7. View their profile and share your locations to find the nearest one. Once you've found the perfect pro with just a click of a button, have a professional meet you in a matter of minutes. This means no more worrying about running late, waiting for the next chair to open, or missing your appointment completely. Reclaim your valuable time and put your mind at ease knowing your hair care pro is on the way. Cuddy app is the only place to hire a hair care pro whenever you are ready, wherever you are. Cuddy app. Join the revolution today.
Did you ever come to a point, like a serious point in your journey, where you thought maybe this whole idea, the concept, was too good to be true, or maybe it wasn't going to necessarily be viable, or like you might get to the end and then it could fail, or everyone will laugh at you? Did you have like serious moments where you were like, what the fuck am I doing? Am I crazy? I need to stop. You know?
Oh, yeah, 100%. So I also sell medical devices. So people are like, wait, you're selling medical devices? That's like a great gig to have, and you're getting into a space you have no idea about. Why? Like, why would you do this? If anything, why don't you start your own medical device company? Do that.
Right. They try to stay rational.
I don't want to do that. Listen, I'm good at my job with my medical device job. I'm very good at my job, but with this is my baby. This is my pandemic baby.
Next level.
It is my baby. Like, I birthed this thing, this thing didn't exist. So my heart's in this.
That's huge. That's huge.
My heart's in it. And also I think there's something to be said when somebody does something and they're coming from like a genuine place, like sometimes somebody starts something like, it could be something like you own a building or something. That's a different business altogether. But when somebody does something just for the sake of just turning a profit, like we're all in business to make money, obviously, but like when that's a sole and only purpose, there's not much buy-in there. But when you're like, oh, listen, here's the story, and here's why I'm doing it, and you're enthusiastic and you care, and like it's your soul, like you're like,
it's a different vibe. Yeah,
people feel that, and I hope that's what people get from what I'm doing here, because like I said earlier, this is not just about starting a company with a product that is too bland for me, but this is a brand with a purpose that will serve an even higher purpose as we continue to evolve. Like, that's what gets me juiced. So yes, were there days like you said earlier where you're just like, what the hell am I doing? Like, do I even want to do this? Yeah, there's a lot of tough days, but you get through. And it's things like that is knowing where you're going that gets you back on track, because you will steer off left and right, but if you know where you're going, you always find your way back on track.
Dope.
Yeah. And to those people who telling people, we know it's coming from a place of love. We know, but
sometimes
the entrepreneur division. No, most of the time it's more like, I don't want to see you hurt. I don't want to see you fail. I don't want to see you crumble, because I'm probably going to be the one picking you up, right? And that's just where they're coming from, that place of their perception, right? But the visionary, right, has to know that they didn't get the download. They didn't get the download. I'm here to do this. I'm here to do ABC. And I don't know, I don't want to get too deep with it, but I don't want to go see my maker and he say, hey, Bodie, I gave you an idea. I gave you something great for the world. What happened? And you looking like, Joe said it wasn't a good idea.
Right. Facts. Right. Yeah, no. You gotta have your own set of standards, your own mind, and do what you believe in. So no, that's real.
If I could add one thing to what you guys were just saying too. So yeah, most of the times I think people are coming from a good place, and they just everyone sees the world a little differently, right? So if you speak to somebody who's not a risk taker whatsoever, and you're going to say, hey, I'm going to start this company, why would you do that? Because they value safety and security more than anything. But if you've got the entrepreneurial spirit to you, you value variety, and you value, the reward atop for climbing that mountain, because it's going to be so sweet when you get there. No, that's what gets you juiced. But for that person, it's not. It's more about security and safety. So they're not going to see things the same way you will. However, I will say, once you're climbing up that mountain and they're like, oh, you're doing pretty well. Oftentimes they'll be like, good for you. They'll give props more often than you might think.
Right.
So that's a big thing. And another thing too that I would give a piece of advice too. So when you're starting a new anything, it's expensive. And as we all know, we're not gonna get into economics right now, but holy shit, everything is so freaking expensive. It's insane. Everything.
So, and you live in New York, so yeah, I know you know.
Oh God, man. It's like,
we down here in the South. It's a little cheaper. I mean, it's still expensive, but it's a little cheaper than up there for sure.
Not near DC, but anyways.
Oh yeah.
It ain't cheap anywhere, right? So bearing that in mind, one thing that I advise people to do is, they say this about stocks, but also in life too. Like, don't always put all your eggs in one basket. So why I say that is because starting a business is very, very, very expensive. In the beginning, when I first started, I go, oh, this is not so bad. Famous last words. Because then, then I started getting piled on all these expenses, especially with me trying to create something new, working with attorneys who, by the way, they helped me out a lot too, but it was still expensive. So one thing I always tell people is, if you're starting a side hustle, just my suggestion, and do as you please, factor in for how expensive it's going to be, and then add more money to that, because it's going to be more than you imagined. And I don't want people ever to start something that they love, where their heart's there, but they quit because they felt they had to quit because they couldn't financially continue. That sucks. And you're going to beat yourself up over that. So what I say is, balance both for as long as you can. So unless you're sitting on a huge pile of cash, great. But if you're not, do two jobs for as long as you possibly can do two jobs. And hustle. When the time is ready to make that switch, it'll be the best day of your life. You know what I mean? Or one of the best days of your life that you can make that switch. But a lot of people quit because out of financial necessity, and they quit early because they had no other choice. They couldn't pay the bills. So for so long as you can balance two jobs for as long as you can.
Yeah, and it almost comes to well, let me say this. It almost comes to without saying, right? Because like you feel like the people who know that, but through their nature, it's almost like you don't have to tell them. Like it's like they'll make a way no matter what. They got to work 2 jobs, 3 jobs, 4 jobs, 5 jobs. It's like certain people have that moxie about them, where if they have a vision and they really want to pursue it, nothing's going to stop them. Right? They can chop their legs off. They could be in a freak accident, lose both their arms. They're going to find a way. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah. And I'm on the other side of that, as in Cuddy app was a fucking money pit, bro. So I started an app with some other guys, and I was like the operator of this thing, right? So I was the one keeping it afloat. When I tell you I didn't know I was incurring a $400 bill every month on the month, it was just like, it was like, wait, whoa, how did this happen? But I had to take a step back. I got to reevaluate some things, and I don't want to say I'm quitting. I'm just put it on the shelf for a minute until I revamp the code. But I'm with you. Some people, like you said, Frank, some people just got the moxie to keep going through. Some people don't know until they get to it. And just like, it's just slow and heavy. Right.
That's true.
Yeah.
I have a question. So this may be a generic question. So like, let's say you have an idea, and I guess you would know, because you basically, you're an inventor, right? This is a product you invented. You brought it to the world. You brought it to the market. There's nothing like this ever. You have the patent, you have the trademarks, copyrights. If somebody has an idea for an invention and they're serious, outside of doodling and drawing and, having thought experiments, what's the very first thing to do to make sure, or to bring your invention to life?
What I did was I want to say I did a search on, I want to say it was uspto.com, where basically you can search to see if there's patents on a government website. So you can search not just that, you could search trademarks, you could search company names. And I did a lot at the same time because I love the name Rarecut. So I'm like, if I'm doing this, I'm gonna do all the things that I want to do. And I love the name Rarecut. So I was like, all right, Rarecut, not taken. All right, good start. And then I was like, all right, and now this idea, I didn't see anything like it, but there's a lot of words and terminologies and legal speak that I couldn't really comprehend. So I spoke to a professional. I spoke to an attorney, well, a friend of a friend. I said, listen, attorney, I'm working on kind of like a more limited budget. It's just, this is bootstrapping. This is all me. I need somebody that can work with me. And she's like, listen, I'm gonna find you somebody. And this is not to dog any New York City or big city attorney, but she said, this individual works out of New Hampshire, so you'll get some favorable pricing. And that was, let me tell you, that was a game changer. So working of course with that. If you're going to take that gamble though, and you want to protect like something that you think could be IP, intellectual property, and you're that serious about it, you can go so far on your own. But if you really want something ironclad, you're going to need professionals for that.
So you mean like a professional, like I guess a lawyer that specializes in patents and trademark and things like that? Okay.
Yep, exactly.
All right. And let's say you have an idea, right? And you search for it and it's out there. Somebody has a patent for it. Maybe it's the same idea. Maybe it's slightly different. But you don't see it anywhere, right? It's not in the market. Nobody's selling it. There's no company that's doing anything with it. Does it make sense to still pursue it? Or do you feel like, okay, if you hit that roadblock, it's no point because somebody already has it. There could be issues there, legal issues.
Yeah. So my original thought was, you start thinking like, okay, I can do this and do that. And I was like, maybe I'll have, this is my first thought. So maybe I'll have a lever and the lever will make it turn this way. And each side of the pocket square will be a different shape. I was getting crazy. I was like turning into a mad scientist. I really need to
That's what I'm doing with my app. Yeah, I have an app too. I'm developing. It's the worst.
Oh, nice. Yeah, dude. So my mind was like going a million miles an hour. And then I remember I spoke to my attorney who I still work with, and she's like, all right, cool. Like, let's look into it. And she's like, well, that we can't do because there is a product out there that fits in a pocket that's nothing to do with pocket squares that has a magnet in there. And because there's a metal, it also translates and protects anyone that tries to do XYZ. So to answer your question, that didn't exist, right? What I was saying does not exist, but I can't even make that because somebody has something else with a magnet in it. Yeah. So I would have wasted a shit ton of money, time, resources, my sanity in creating something only to be told, hey, sorry, you're done. That's it. It's over.
Or if you made a lot of money with it, they could sue, right? And then get you on the back end and say, hey, that's mine.
Thanks for doing the work.
Right.
They should doing the work is right. Yeah, exactly.
They would have sat back and like wait till you to become. Yeah. Okay. So so I just asked those questions because like I've had, as I'm sure most of us do, in all my years, plethora of inventions, thought experiments. Oh, this would be nice, but I never pursued anything as far as like a physical device or thing. But it's just one of those things. If something comes to you, bro, and you feel like it could be a game changer, and you want, just got to pursue it. That's all. So I haven't
every seed
I've ever done. Yeah,
I like uniqueness. That's what me and my wife been talking about lately: uniqueness and originality. So Tubi, the Dago movie app called Tubi. Their movies aren't the greatest, but they're for sure original. I don't need to see another Bumblebee, Transformers. I don't need to see Mortal Kombat. I don't need to see another Jungle Book. I don't need,
Right.
They even remake shows. They taking cartoon shows and trying to make them the reality shows. Like, can we get some originality here? And that's I like.
I'm gonna watch that
originality.
All right. So where can let's get your socials. Let's speak about your socials, your website. If somebody wants to get something, where can they get it at? Are you I know you have an online store. Are you at any physical locations in New York or throughout the country, or what's the deal? What's going on there?
Yeah, perfect. So yeah, the main source of getting our products is on our website, rarecut.com. All our social handles, we're fortunate. I got it early. Yeah, we got at Rarecut across the board. If anyone wants to connect with me personally, it's Anthony Orisses, and it's at Anthony Orisses across the board.
Nice.
Last name is Isses, all S like Sam. I'm sure it's in the show notes. But
yeah.
Well, there are, and I wish I had it for you guys right now. There is just Google search it, but like there is some site that you can find out anytime a new app is being created. So let's just say you have a name that let's just say you want it for your podcast. And you're like, yo, I want this name across the board.
Right.
You can check this this website periodically, and it'll say, hey, all these new apps just came out. So that way you could go on there, be the first to go on there, get your name and lock it up. So no one else tries to like hang one over your head and be like, oh, you want this? Give me $1,000 or whatever. I got you. Get out of my face with that. No.
Do you know the website off the top?
I don't off the top of my head, but
Google
if you Google search it, it will pop up because someone had told me about it. I Google searched it and it led me right to it. I wish I had the name offhand.
Nice. Yeah, I definitely gotta look at it. I had some struggles with my app name. People have it on Instagram and all this stuff, and I just try to think of different it's a pain. If you want it, and it's good that you got yours consistent across the board because it's easy for people to remember. It's not like rare_cut, rare.cut, or _rare, you know, all that stupid stuff. So that's pretty dope.
Also, I will say this too. Rarecut was taken on a couple. There was one on Twitter, somebody had it, but it was an account that they didn't post on. And then there was one on Instagram, and the girl, I remember her only person she was following was at Instagram. And I was like, all right, this is a dead account. Like, no one's using this. Right. So once I got the trademark for my company, I wrote into Instagram and I was like, is this going to go anywhere? Probably not. But I got to tell you, within 30 days, they handed me the account. They swapped
that's nice
for both Instagram and for Twitter too. Sure. Both those. So
that's dope. I didn't know you could do that.
Well, if you get the trademark the name, and you can show that, then you can use that as
and I'm assuming that's only if the account is dead, right? Like if somebody's using it, they have posts and pictures and things. Like, can you swap it from them, or I don't know?
No, you probably have
it have to be something where you felt like they were using your business name and infringing to some point, or maybe like doing something against like the code of conduct within Instagram or whatever platform. But for me, if it's a dead account, you'll be able to get that swap.
Nice. Okay.
Relatively easily.
That's dope. That's dope. I think we should close out. This is a pretty dope conversation. I'm inspired. I feel like I want to go back to all my inventions and start scribbling them down, and then I'm gonna hit you up for your lawyers and get your contacts, get your engineers.
Hey Frank, I'm definitely like, bro, definitely needs to be at like some men's suit convention or something crazy, right? Like I'm a big component of going outside and selling nowadays, right?
He is.
I can definitely see you at like an event selling your pocket squares, right? So,
anytime there's a live event, I'm there. I love doing booths, trade shows, all that stuff. Because to be able to demonstrate this, like I showed you guys, and we said 15, 30 seconds with a crowd.
It's
easy.
I love that. Yeah.
That's definitely dope. Definitely dope. All right. So there it is, Anthony Orisses, bro. Rarecut, definitely dope.
You got some words to leave us with? You want to leave us with some motivational words for the people who want to do whatever, you know?
Yeah, well, first I want to say thank you first and foremost to you guys, because this was really cool. Because what I loved about this and really appreciated was like, I felt like I was hanging with you guys. You know what I mean?
We try.
This was like a hangout session with new friends, and we were just like kind of shooting the shit, going back and forth.
We try to keep it informal, right? We try to keep it laid back. We don't like to do the, uptight shit and all that. Like it's just chill. You know what I'm saying? So that's what we do.
Yeah, and I like that. Like, I'm sure, listen, you have your questions, but as the conversation rolls, you come up with new questions, and it kind of like goes in the direction
flows,
you know what I mean? So I just want you to know, as someone that goes on podcasts, I appreciate that format. So thank you for that.
Appreciate you saying that.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So I'll say one thing that I learned. I went to a seminar recently. I'm a big person. I love Tony Robbins. I think he's the OG, greatest of all time.
Inspiration, yep.
Motivational, just more of like a life coach direction type thing. Actually, this is like the title of my post, but it's really true. And that was proximity is power. So if you are wanting to start a company in a space that you're not really familiar with, get involved, start meeting people in that space,
right?
Get close to people that you can offer your services to them, and in turn you can learn from them, because it ain't going to happen if you just stay back and don't do anything. So you got to get, the closer you get to people in the world you're trying to join in and to learn, the quicker you will get there. Proximity is power, and that is one of the truest things ever. And we talked about earlier, manifesting, open up doors. Well, it doesn't just happen by you sitting on your ass. You got to go out there, meet people in that space, and that expression, the harder you work, the luckier you get. Very true. But also, get yourself in the right room in order to be able to succeed and get luckier. So that's
definitely facts. That's definitely facts.
I just thought about that, because I'm 1,000 times surer? Is that a word sure or more sure that you can sell a pocket square in New York than Ohio? Am I wrong?
Probably not.
Probably. But here's what I tell people. So if I get somebody that comes to my booth and they're like, my husband doesn't really wear suits, I'm like, you're still going to go to weddings, right? And they're like, yeah. Boom. There we go. You're going to wear it. So,
yeah. That's a good one.
I need to go get some blazers now. I need to rejuvenate my wardrobe with some blazers and get some of those. That's pretty dope. When you do the custom service thing, let us know. We're gonna definitely get some figuring shit out ones. That'll be definitely dope to get to wear. But yeah, Anthony Orisses, thank you so much. Episode, was it 42?
Appreciate
42?
You, bro.
42. Thank you so much. Have a great night. We'll definitely be in touch.
Yes,
and again, let us know when you do the custom service, because we're definitely, I got so many logos. I'll get one for every company that I have. So
I
thank you so much.
That means the world. Thank you guys. And again, really, really had a fun time doing this. So thank you.
Definitely. You're welcome.
Yes,
thank you so much.
All right.
Peace out.